who puts his undefeated record on the line against Mexican knockout artist and former title challenger Carlos Ocampo. Plus, undefeated fighters collide as Mexico's first Olympic medalist in 16 years, Misael Rodriguez, faces a relentless American power puncher, Austin Deanda. Zuffa Boxing, Walsh versus Ocampo. Only on Paramount Plus. Tonight, Zuffa Boxing presents a world-class event with action-packed fights headlined by surging Irish superstar Callum Walsh, who puts his undefeated record on the line against Mexican knockout artist and former title challenger Carlos Ocampo. Plus, undefeated fighters collide as Mexico's first Olympic medalist in 16 years, Misael Rodriguez, faces a relentless American power puncher, Austin Deanda. Zuffa Boxing, Walsh versus Ocampo. Only on Paramount Plus. Tonight, Zuffa Boxing presents a world-class event with action-packed fights headlined by surging Irish superstar Callum Walsh, who puts his undefeated record on the line against Mexican knockout artist and former title challenger Carlos Ocampo. Plus, undefeated fighters collide as Mexico's first Olympic medalist in 16 years, Misael Rodriguez, faces a relentless American power puncher.
Las Vegas, the fight capital of the world, where the skylines never finished, lights shift, resorts rise, and everything evolves overnight. This is a city built on reinvention. And tonight, the sweet science is at the helm of Sin City. The Meta Apex has helped launch a number of combat stars' careers. Here comes the latest incarnation in the long history of combat sports, Zuffa Boxing, where we'll see the next generation of talent throw hands. This is a premiere that is fit for a king. Fighting in his 12th main event in 16 fights tonight, King Callum Walsh headlines the first chapter of Zuffa Boxing. Standing in his way, battle-tested veteran Carlos Chema Ocampo. Tonight, he's here to prove he's not just a stepping stone. 8 fights, 16 fighters, and not one over the age of 31. Tomorrow's stars could rise tonight right here inside the ring at the Meta Apex. Hello and welcome into the premiere of Zuffa Boxing. I'm Molly Karam alongside former multi-time world champion and 2026 Boxing Hall of Fame inductee Antonio Tarver and renowned author and analyst, our Mark Kriegel. Hi, guys.
Hey, how you
Are
doing?
we excited or what? Because I am fired up. Gentlemen, when I got the call to host Zuffa Boxing, that was an offer I couldn't refuse. To cover a sport that I've loved since Friday Night Fights, to reunite with longtime friends, and be a part of something special, backed and run by people I believe in, all first class. And that's the sense that I got from the fighters when we were in the fighters meetings. They're being treated like professional athletes, first class treatment. They feel great, feeling good about their camps, and they are ready to go to war.
You know, it's something to say about fighters that has the structure of a professional boxer. They come here, they're able to really focus on their mental and their physical, and it allows them to be the best fighter they can be. Those training camps really pay off for these young fighters.
You know, other sports compare themselves to combat and other athletes inevitably to fighters, but this is the original combat sport. It's just time it evolved a little bit.
Absolutely, and there's so many elements I'm excited about, but one major thing is the activity, and Antonio, you could speak to this better than anyone. It's become commonplace for a fighter to fight maybe one time a year. Under Zuffa Boxing, they could be fighting 4 or 5 times a year, and you know what activity does for a guy's career and what inactivity does.
It does. Inactivity kills more careers than anything, but it's the activity that can really get these fighters to build a brand and their name as they move up that ladder from prospect to contention to champion, and they need that.
You know what I like? You got a whole card, and I can't tell you who's going to win every single fight. You have 11 undefeated fighters, but none of them is exactly a lock. And guess what? You lose, hey, it's not a death sentence for your career. You get better, you come back, you show us again. That's how it's supposed to be.
Competitive fights, undiscovered talent, sign me up. Let's tell you all a little bit more about these matchups right now. So the inaugural card here at Zuffa Boxing, that comes your way at 9 p.m. Eastern here on Paramount Plus. 3 10-round fights, 6 fighters. Listen to this record. It combined 126-4. Kicking things off, welterweights Julian Rodriguez, Kane Sandoval. Then it's Olympic bronze medalist Misael Rodriguez taking on undefeated Austin Deonda. And our main event sees unbeaten Irishman Callum Walsh take a big step up in competition against Mexico's Carlos Ocampo. And gentlemen, let me tell you, a girl loves some trash talk.
My name is Callum Walsh, and I'm fighting Carlos Ocampo.
Nunca he peleado con alguien como yo.
He has a lot of experience, but I dominate all around. I'm stronger, faster, better boxer.
Creo que voy a ser y seré su oponente más duro hasta la fecha. Sé que es un peleador zurdo y bastante aguerrido. Le voy a ganar con mi inteligencia y con mis huevos.
Carlos Ocampo wants to beat me, but I think I dominate this fight.
Sí, lo voy a descarrilar. Al final del día, en el ring nomás somos él y yo.
I see myself winning, I don't see any other option.
No se pierdan mi pelea porque les voy a dar una gran guerra.
Here's a look at our tail of the tape for our main event. Callum Walsh is 6 years younger, and Carlos Ocampo has a slight edge in height and reach. What isn't listed here is the advantage in experience for Ocampo, who has nearly 3 times as many fights as Walsh. Let's go to our Heidi Andral, who caught up with King Callum Walsh.
Thank you very much. Well, Callum, Zuffa won. You are headlining history here this weekend on a new network, Paramount Plus. Just take us through what this fight week has been like for you, given the magnitude of this event.
Yeah, it's been very good. You know, I've enjoyed every single minute of it. You know, Zuffa staff and the UFC staff are very helpful. You know, they've done everything for us. You know, all we have to do is fight. It makes everything a lot easier, you know, and yeah, I'm very grateful to be here. Headlining Zuffa 1, you know, there'll only ever be one first, and I'm the first main event, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, I know you've been on big stages. Most recently, obviously, we saw you at Allegiant Stadium. I want to talk to you about that fight briefly. Just, do you feel as though you were able to put on the show that you wanted to against Vargas Jr.?
No, I felt like I could have performed a lot better. You know, I was very unhappy with that performance, and I made a lot of changes, made a lot of adjustments, and you know, you're only as good as your last fight, and I'm looking forward to putting on a bigger performance this time, and yeah, just doing a lot better.
Well, speaking of that, obviously it's your 160-pound debut. You do not have Freddie Roach in your corner for the first time as a professional. Obviously, you have Marvin and some of the team. Why did you make that change now, and how are you going to be different because of it on Friday night?
Yeah, you know, I just decided to make a change for this camp to see how it goes. You know, use Marvin and Dickie Eklund Jr., you know, 2 very experienced coaches that have been with Freddie for a long time, you know, so we're still using the ways of Freddie Roach. Just, he won't be in my corner, but you know, he might as well be. You know, he's taught them everything they know, and yeah, just more hands-on training and just having them in my corner, I feel we'll still get the job done.
I know you had your strength and conditioning coach for this one. You're feeling ready against a guy like Carlos, who we've seen susceptible in his biggest fights to the knockout. Obviously, he went the distance with Fundora. What have you taken from watching him, and how are you going to be able to beat a guy like Carlos on Friday night?
Yeah, you know, I think I'm better all around. You know, I think I hit harder. I think I move better. You know, I think the Fundora fight, Fundora is too big, you know, to really move, you know, and he let Carlos get into that rhythm where he could just sit there and throw them punches, you know, and I won't let him do that, you know. I'm going to outbox him, and I'm going to land the bigger shots and hopefully knock him out.
Very good. Thanks so much, Callum. We appreciate it. Best of luck to you guys. We'll send it back to you.
Callum Walsh is making his full 160-pound middleweight debut, having never weighed more than 156.5 pounds. This is the 12th time in his 16 career fights he's atop the marquee, and he's coming off back-to-back fights that went the distance for the first time in his career. All right, gentlemen, let's break down this main event that we are all clamoring to see. So with Callum's style and fight history, how does he match up against Ocampo?
I think this is a very good matchup. As long as he be himself, don't get outside of his character. I think he has the power to make a difference, and if he can control this young fighter, I think he has a chance of really making a statement tonight and putting the whole middleweight division on notice.
You know, I sat with Ocampo last week in Mexico. What I saw was a relaxed guy who thinks he's being underestimated. He goes, hey, listen, I'm not Dana White's protege. I don't have the pressure. When it comes to strategy, that's exactly how I'm going to fight Callum Walsh. For whatever reason, he doesn't think Walsh reacts well to being pressured. I'm not sure that's really the case, but if so, it's going to make for a hell of a fight.
And he's gunning for the knockout.
Callum Walsh. I mean, he was sat with him the week before, very, very frustrated with his outing last time out against Fernando Vargas Jr. Feels very disappointed. He wants a knockout. He'd prefer it to become early. But he looks at this event and this opportunity as a chance to make a statement.
Mark, this young fighter going to learn that a win is a win. Once he understands that, he can't keep looking back on what he didn't do against Fernando Vargas.
Callum, was this the right time? I mean, Antonio, was this the right time for Callum to move up?
That remains to be seen. Those little 5 pounds might make a difference. And if he has to start fighting on his back foot, and this kid is putting a lot of pressure on, Ocampo is putting a lot of pressure on, that weight could make a difference.
Yeah, because he's been around this weight since he was 18.
You know, it's funny about that. Neither Ocampo, who has fought at 160 the last 4 times out, I believe, or Callum think it's going to make a damn bit of difference. I think that they're probably right like that. They're just going to go in there, they're going to mix it up. I don't think it's going to go the distance.
Antonio, how much pressure do you think's on Callum specifically in terms of the Dana White protege, that moniker tonight, headlining this event?
Well, you know, he's riding high after being on the co-feature of that big fight last year, Crawford and Canelo. So now he's the main attraction right here at the UFC Apex. So I don't know how much pressure it is, but if he can get a very impressive win tonight, I mean, they're going to put the card on his back.
It's a lot of pressure. He's asked for the pressure. It's the opportunity that every fighter would you know, really, would want.
Yeah.
He's embraced it. That's why you're here.
Absolutely. And speaking of top talent, it's time to check in with our ringside guys. We'll be calling all of tonight's action. Let's send things over to Joe Tessitore, Max Kellerman, and the former pound-for-pound king, Andre Ward. Hi, gentlemen.
Hey, good evening, Molly. It's great to have you back in that host seat as well and to see you in front of the camera. Guys, we have called a lot of fights for a lot of promotions where you get a highly likable, promotable, exciting guy topping a card like Callum Walsh, and you sort of know the script. That is not the case at Zuffa. That is not how things go. In this case, Ocampo is a very live dog.
I mean, by the way, Canelo Crawford, there were 10 fights, including the main event. You hear Dana talk about at Zuffa Boxing, like the UFC, 50-50, 60-40 fights. Guess how many fights out of those 10 the favorite won? 6. That's called 60-40 fights, and that's this kind of fight tonight. What Ocampo has to try to do to upset the odds here and derail Callum Walsh, it's going to look nothing like the Vargas fight. Vargas was trying to frustrate what Callum was trying to do. That's not Ocampo. Ocampo's going to try to hurt him. He's going to try to show Callum Walsh, hey kid, I can take you into deep water. I can punish you. Are you sure you are at this level? Because I've been at this level. Right. And to add to the drama, Andre, Callum Walsh has cut. If you can't get Ocampo out early, he's been taken out in the first round twice. But if you can't do that, his only other loss was a dogfight. Callum Walsh winds up in a dogfight, and he cuts against a puncher who's going to apply pressure. That could be bad news.
Yeah, Ocampo is a veteran. He's tough, and he's been in there against elite competition. Right, he's the type of guy that if this young fighter is not on point, he's going to start to ask some tough questions of Callum Walsh that must be answered if he's going to be a top contender and a champion in this sport. This is an exciting fight for both guys. It's a big stage, but Callum Walsh, make no mistake about it, he's the diamond in the rough. Yes. And for that diamond to become what it's supposed to be, he needs pressure and he needs friction. And is Ocampo going to be the type of friction that derails the young fighter, or the type of friction and pressure that rises his game to the next level?
That's what I like about it. It's also one of these fights that as you cover it through the week, it becomes more intriguing as we draw closer. We're so excited to call the action ringside for Zuffa Boxing, the inaugural night. Let's check in with our insider, Mike Coppinger. Cop.
Big main event here tonight in the inaugural Zuffa boxing as we're going to see Irishman Callum Walsh move up 6 pounds from 154 to 160 to take on Carlos Ocampo. And the reason for that, of course, is there is no junior middleweight division here in Zuffa, no 154-pound division. There are 8 weight classes right now, not 17 or 18. So that's going to mean more depth in every weight class. And the big question, of course, is going to be, can Callum Walsh carry that devastating power to a new weight class? We're going to find out a little bit here later tonight in our main event. Molly, back to you guys.
Mike dropping knowledge as always. He'll be with us on set in just a bit. We're moments away from the first punches being thrown. Coming up, Callum Walsh takes us into his world with his UFC fighter girlfriend Tabitha Ricci. What's he really like? Mark Kriegel sits down with the king.
That's probably why I didn't have any other girlfriends, because I'm thinking about this guy for the last 2 months that I'm about to fight, you know, and having someone that understands what you're going through physically and mentally.
Ring Magazine senior insider with us here, Mike Coppinger. Cop, so great to have you with us. You fired up for tonight or what?
So excited, Molly. I've been waiting for this for a long time, ever since I visited UFC Apex right here, the Meta Apex, back in 2019. Dana White's always had a big vision, and now with Nick Khan, his partner Turki Al-Sheikh, I expect big things in boxing.
Absolutely. All right, Antonio, I want to dive into the main event. How much is experience a factor for Ocampo?
I think it can be a big factor for him, but he has to get to it. We've mentioned it downstairs. He has to get out of the first 2 rounds in order to get his game on. And if he can do that, he can make this a very difficult fight for Callum Walsh.
Yeah, absolutely. What Antonio says, experience here. It's not just that Carlos Ocampo has much more fights than Callum Walsh. It's the kind of experience. He's faced 3 top-level fighters, Errol Spence, Tim Tszyu, and Sebastian Fundora. Callum Walsh has never fought anybody like that.
Ocampo's the plus 540 underdog. Callum Walsh might be the minus 800 favorite, gentlemen, but Callum's journey to this point is a true long shot story. Mark Kriegel knows plenty about that.
A pandemic hit Ireland, all the gyms shut down. Callum Walsh found himself in a bad way, started street fighting, drinking, getting himself into trouble. He knew he needed a new start. He knew he needed a new place. Now, the long history of Irishman boxing in the States is a pretty glorious one, but I've never heard one quite like this. Plus, it's a love story to boot.
For Callum Walsh, boxing was always a part of him. He never needed a reason to fight.
When I was 15, I won my first national title. I won 6 in total, and then I went to the European Championships. I won the European gold medal. I remember being in school, no interest in being there, you know, I was just sitting there, and the teacher looked at me and was like, "Why are you here? What are you doing?" And I remember I told him, "I'm gonna box for the rest of my life." I got kicked out of school.
Kicked out of school, why?
Fighting. I remember saying, like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to America, you know, I'm gonna figure this out."
Soon enough, Walsh arrived on a tourist visa, saying he was visiting his father, now living in Riverside, California. His real destination, however, was the Wild Card Gym in Hollywood, run by Hall of Fame trainer Freddie Roach.
Just told him I'm here to train. And Freddie was like, "Oh, so you want to train? Yeah, well, it's Wednesday, like, it's sparring day, so get your stuff." And I was like, "All right." Must have been good enough, you know, for Freddie to look at me and say, "All right, come back tomorrow."
There he is, the 21-year-old undefeated Callum Walsh.
I made my pro debut 2021. Now all of a sudden I'm meeting Dana White, someone that would never have even crossed my mind that would come into my career, you know.
He might have been a kid from Cove, but he was generating that sacred American commodity, buzz. Still the king! And it led him to the very last thing he was looking for.
I think after a couple of times that we were dating, you know, just feel, I think, like his soul, and then the way he would treat me. I fell in love with the way that he was looking at me and the way that he was accepting the person that I am.
The way that she understands my life makes it a lot easier.
These are baby chicks. We've had them since they were like that.
So tiny. Now they're big girls.
We bought this house 4 months ago. A nice bit of land, you know, a nice bit of animals.
I think it's, you know, it kind of balances out the lifestyle, because the farm, you know, brings you back to reality, you know, it makes you realize, like, you have to get up in the morning and go and feed a bunch of animals and go and do real things, you know, and, like, yeah, it reminds me of the reality of life.
It's not just a life they've built, but at long last, a reason. For Callum Walsh, it's something worth fighting for.
I'm happy with what I have, obviously, but I always want more. I have 2 things missing in my life. I want the world title and 100 acres of land. That'll do me.
You can see how much Freddie Roach means to Callum Walsh, but he will not be in his corner tonight. Instead, it'll be Marvin Samodio, Freddie's longtime assistant, and Dickie Eklund Jr. There were a lot of little reasons, strength and conditioning coaches, but really what it comes down to, Callum Walsh knew it was time to leave the nest. It was the hardest decision of his life.
Mark, great piece. It seems like Callum really found his balance, right? And he found his partner as well amidst this crazy industry and business. Guys, final thoughts as we head to the action very shortly? We'll start with you, Cop.
Yeah, I mean, Callum Walsh, I agree with Mark. I think it was a very necessary change. I thought he was plateauing with Freddie Roach, and he's right. It's a really tough decision to leave one of the greatest trainers of all time, but Marvin Samodio told us, right, he wants to see Callum Walsh working behind his jab and being more of that boxer-puncher to try to set up a big knockout.
And for Ocampo, man, I think we've been speaking on his experience, but let's not forget, he has 26 knockouts out of 41 fights. That knockout percentage is huge, and that might be a difference in this fight as well.
Cop, what else are you excited about tonight? Any other fights?
I cannot wait for the Julian Hammer Hans Rodriguez versus Cain Sandoval fight. It's by far the closest odds on the card. Sandoval was like a 4-1 favorite. Now he's down to about, I believe, minus 175, Molly. So I think that's going to be the best fight of the night. And Julian Rodriguez, he already knocked off 17-0 Avius Griffin in an upset last year. And what is Cain Sandoval? 17-0.
We saw the trash talk in full effect.
I love his energy. Kane, that's my guy. He's a real one from Shacktown. So right. We're in for a big fight. I thought that should have been the co-feature.
Absolutely. And didn't you think it was interesting in the piece how Callum, it seems like he found his partner, which is unique in terms of also another fighter, right? He's not going into hiding. She's right there with him side by side.
Yeah, but that's unique for, you know, a legendary fighter. Like, we normally don't have our spouses, our family and friends around at all. We go to that mountaintop. We're predators.
The first fight of Zuffa boxing is just moments away. Troy Nash and Jacob Ramos, they don't know how to lose, fellas. What better way to kick off the launch of Zuffa boxing? They'll trade punches in just moments. Live from the prize-fighting capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada, the Zuffa boxing era begins after the break.